Certainly. Yes, it hurt. Of course it hurt. Of course it hurt when they put it in. It doesn't still hurt now. Oh, who was the fella who did it? Fuzzy. I think that's the name he used. Just down on State Street, there's a place. Well, every other place, I would have had to walk up a full flight of steps. I'm 82, for gosh sakes. Even without the broken hip, I shouldn't be going up steps. I get winded. Look, this was something I wanted to do for, well, myself. And you know me, sweetie. I'm not a selfish person. And your father, God rest his soul, that's one of the things he loved about me. Almost to a fault, really. Anyway, I mean, there was a lot that I wanted to do before I got to this age. But there was your father and what he wanted. I mean, the things that I wanted weren't very important. And I don't mean that like you think I mean that. I am very genuine when I admit there were just things that I wanted that were just dang frivolous. My band, for instance. It was my dream. I don't know if I ever told you this. I wanted to be the lead guitar in a hardcore band. But see, these fingers. Yeah, I mean now, forget about it. But at 57, they were still pretty strong. But your father said no. Didn't want to hear the noise. He did like our concept though. All hardcore covers of show tunes. We had an arrangement of Poor Judd is Dead that blew the doors down. I tell ya. But no, he didn't go for it. He was stood at that one session, but that was it. You were away at college at that point. Who taught me? Some kid in the 70s. Tony Delano. Nice boy. I used to sell him pot. That was years ago. You've never even heard about your father's freebasing period. That was a hoot and a holler, I'll tell you. Yes, your father was quite the live wire then. He always used to say to me, "Tammy, you my firecracker." We'd laugh and laugh and laugh. Of course, considering how much pot and crystal meth was floating around, we laughed at a tremendous lot of things. No, for some reason, you kids never found out about that stuff. Oh, Paul, your brother, had some suspicions. When we had the drug talk with him, there's an excellent chance your father was high at the time. Well, I see by the look on your face that my piercing my genitals is the least surprising thing I've told you today. Oh, look, sweetie, this didn't have much to do with you kids. It's just that when you reached your teens, we suddenly realized we were nearing the end of the road. We liked what our lives could become, and we wanted to have some good old-fashioned fun. Well, okay, maybe I did. I mean, your father, yes, he could party something crazy back in his day, but when he had his first attack, he just became, well, a big wet blanket. Oh, that's not fair. He was an awfully good sport, really. He definitely would have said no to this, though. again. You went for me dyeing my hair green. Oh, that was about 30 years ago? Well, there's no reason why you'd remember that. It was my other hair. My other hair. Oh, for gosh sakes, you're a grown-up. For gosh sakes. So, he wasn't really crazy about it. I just like not being gray on some part of my body. But after that, I decided not to push it when it came to my bathing suit area. But really, it doesn't hurt. It sort of looks like a barbell. It's a neat piercing, all my own. No one needs to know about it. It's just for me. Although, I'll tell you, since I got it put in, sometimes when I'm rocking in my chair, I tell you, I get the dizzies. You ought to get one of these, sweetie. Oh, for gosh sakes, you know you'd love it. Well, I'm just saying that Jonah might not think you were frigid anymore if you got one. Well, don't get all in the dither. I'm just quoting you back to you. Fine, we won't talk about it. No, I'll leave it alone. You were the one who asked about it. Okay, fine. Gosh sakes. So, how old is my granddaughter now?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Dorrington, and welcome to Talking Culture. Now, those of you older members of our audience may remember our guest as the Backup, the world's first superhero. She's only recently come forward with her secret identity, revealing herself to be Yetta Carlson, now retired. Why did she help us? Why did she stop? And most importantly, what is she doing now? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next guest, Yetta Carlson. Yetta, welcome to Talking Culture.
Thank you for having me.
So, just this week you came out, said you were the Backup. No one believed you?
Then David.
David Clark, otherwise known as the American Protector, also retired, came forward and vouched for you.
Strangely, it was the variety of former villains that did it. Dave vouched, and people said maybe. But when Private Mirror, The Monitor, Blood Turnip said I was the real deal, people started believing it.
Yes, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Right. Where do we start? This isn't normally my thing.
I guess we start with your powers. First of all, what were your powers?
The first thing I could do that I knew of was super strength. When I was in high school, I wanted to try out for wrestling, which in my day, girls did not wrestle, not like they do now.
They didn't wrestle at all?
No, they certainly didn't.
Why did you want to try out for wrestling?
I was always pretty physical. I just had this real desire to grapple.
So did you make the team?
No, the coach wanted to teach me a lesson, so he pit me against the biggest kid on the team. Well, I feel kind of bad about this. I broke his arm.
Oh!
Everyone just assumed it was an accident. No one really talked about suing anyone, which no one really did in those days anyway. Anyway, I started trying to see what I could do. I found that I could bend things like steel. I could lift things like concrete or cars.
You lifted cars? How old were you?
I was 17 when I lifted a car for the first time. Then came flying, being impervious, that sort of thing.
You had a bunch of different powers at one point, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I kept gaining new powers. Sometimes it seemed like I only gained them when I needed them.
And did you ever learn why?
Sometime after, we're jumping ahead here. After I was the backup, I was working with the observers, who were the only super team at the time, and Doc Future examined me. And he found that there was this, like, power inside of me. It's like a separate entity, almost. He said it was concentrated energy, something, something. I don't remember all the sciencey terms he used, but he found it was only going to exist for 5 more years.
That's how you learned you were going to lose your powers?
Yes.
How old were you?
25. I lost my powers on my 30th birthday.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Here's your gift. Normalcy.
Let's go back. You discover you have these powers, and what's the first thing you do?
The first thing was to see how far I could fly. I flew and I flew and I flew.
How old were you at this point?
Still 17.
Oh, wow.
So long story short, I ended up in this small community, a tribe, really. The soil had gone bad. They were starving, so I helped them out. Got to know them.
Oh, what a good idea.
I stole it from a comic book.
How did you help them?
I used my powers to fix the environment. Brought in new sections of land. I helped them get back on their feet.
Were they grateful?
They were. They knew I was a person. They didn't deify me or anything. Anyway, I went back home, and apparently I'd been gone long enough to have caused a minor panic. My parents thought I'd been kidnapped.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I had to explain, no, I just ran away.
Did you tell them about your powers?
Yeah, I had to. My dad's the one who made my costume.
I was going to ask you.
Why it looked like a guy designed it.
No, just who made the costume?
Yeah, it was him. He actually thought we should disguise my identity to the extent that you couldn't tell if I was a boy or a girl. But people figured it out.
So at first you didn't fight crime or anything like that?
So I was more about rescue work, helping with world hunger. But then these supervillains started showing up.
Who was the first one you had to deal with?
Well, the first one was some guy named Mr. Subversion, but he turned out just to be a science teacher with a lot of emotional problems. I assume you're referring to my relationship with the woman you know as Nefaria.
She was your arch enemy?
In those days, yes.
And she targeted you right away.
She was all about me those days.
Well, you were the only one then, right?
No, by the time she came around, there were lots of us. Lots of them.
Let's jump ahead. Doc Future tells you you're going to lose your powers and become a normal woman. Did you ever try to...
Keep my powers? No.
No.
No. I'd been a superhero for about 8 years. It was hard to be in the public light and also be unknown.
So by night you were the backup, and by day you were Yetta Carlson, college student?
And waitress, and a bunch of other jobs. And it wasn't just by night I was the backup. I was always the backup. If people needed me, I was there for them, day or night. I got fired a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Yetta Carlson had a rep for being a little flaky.
You literally had the weight of the world on your shoulders.
I was the superhero that inspired all the other superheroes. And villains, if I'm being honest.
Were you proud?
I was scared. It was scary, having all that responsibility.
I would be, I guess.
So, no, when Doc told me it was coming to an end, I hugged him and said thank you.
Because then it's out of your hands.
Exactly. Then it's not my fault.
And after that, what happened?
For the first couple of years after I found out, I just kept on keeping on, being the backup. But that last year, I started a supervillain outreach program.
You were the one who got Shadow Edge to switch sides, right?
Shadow Edge wanted to become a hero. He just didn't know we could do that. When I found him in his fortress, he already had a separate outfit. He was working on a second persona where he would be a superhero.
And this was for real? Like, it wasn't a scam?
One of my superpowers at that point was lie detection, so no, he was going to be a closet hero. I talked him into superheroing as Shadow Edge.
Why?
For the statement it made, that you could change, that a person could change. If Shadow Edge could become a hero, anyone had the ability to become a hero. Okay, some of that was crap. His superhero name was going to be Knife Light, which was awful. And the costume was even worse. No, as Shadow Edge, he was terrifying. I thought maybe if the bad guys knew the good guys could be scary, that'd be cool.
And now they all do it.
A lot of them do, yes.
The two of you were a team for a while.
Yes, Shadow Edge and the backup.
Why was his name first?
Oh, because my name had the in it, it sort of rolled off the tongue better. And him being a former villain, he needed to fight alongside an established hero, to lend him some credibility.
Was there ever any romantic tension between you?
No. He knew I was gay. That was a kind of an open secret in the superhero community. Funny thing is, as Yetta Carlson, directionless flake, I was always out as being gay. But as the backup, I was in the closet, publicly.
Why?
The world wasn't ready. At least that's what 29-year-old me thought.
And was she right?
Sometimes I think so. Plus, I still had the body of a 17-year-old, so...
If you don't mind my asking...
I'm 62. After I lost my powers, I continued to age slowly for a while, but at this point, I just get to age like everyone else now. I guess it's like my payment for helping people. I get a bunch of extra years in return.
Not a bad trade.
Well, I didn't have a choice.
Why did you stop working with Shadow Edge?
I didn't have much time left with my powers, so we only worked together for as long as it took for people to accept him as a hero. Then I moved on to reaching out to other villains.
And were you always successful?
I was more successful than not. And not many of them became heroes, like Shadow Edge. Most of them just went back to their normal lives, much happier. Being a villain is as much pressure as being a hero, in its way. But yes, there were some I couldn't reach. They're still out there.
Are you ever afraid they'll come back for you?
No, I mean, yes, obviously some might come back, especially now that I've made myself public, but I can still take care of myself, and as you know, Nefaria has my back.
Getting to my next question, your reformation of Nefaria.
I didn't reform her. I reached out. And I don't want to speak for her, but she was never really evil. She was just a scared kid with powers she didn't understand.
And she still has them?
Yep.
And Nefaria's not a supervillain anymore?
If she is, she's really good at hiding it. No, she's just a citizen like me. Her legal name is Nefaria,
You two live together currently?
We got married years ago, right when it became legal to do so. Father Steele performed the ceremony.
But you have been together longer than that.
She and I? Yeah. I'd been working with her the last year I had my powers. She was with me on the last day I had them.
Were you scared to be powerless in a room with your arch enemy?
I've never been powerless. And we weren't enemies. There, right there. That's the romantic tension you were talking about. You couldn't deny it. To this day, I love her. She loves me.
Well, I think that's a wonderful place to end it.
Me too.
Thank you very much to our guest, Yetta Carlson.
Thank you. This has been fun.
And when I say thank you, I'm talking about the world. The world thanks you.
It was my pleasure. Everyone can help. Everyone should help. Stay safe. Big hugs.
I'll be back next episode with our guest, Nefaria. Thanks for watching Talking Culture. See you next time, everybody.